It's absolutely apptacular. The Subject Cinema Android app. Everything you need to be a rabid Subject Cinema fan. Subject Cinema, 3-Minute Weekend, Tuesday Digidex, and Front Row 5 and 10. All right at your fingertips and available instantly. Plus, email and voicemail links, Facebook and Twitter hookups, Patreon support specials, and more is coming real soon. Don't just listen, app it. The all-in-one Subject Cinema podcast app. Android version available now at Google Play or on PNR Network websites. Amazon and iPhone apps coming soon. Don't delay. Download today.
Blueberry.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
On air, online, on now. From the hub of the universe, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, this is Subject Cinema, with your hosts, T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TC and Kim.
Hey guys, another week here at Subject Cinema. Welcome. I'm TC Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
It's Subject Cinema number 629, day and date, May 5th, 2019. Been a couple of weeks since last thing we did was our travelogue show from Salem.
Yep.
And it's going to be that way for the rest of this month. We're only going to do a couple more shows. We'll let you know what they are a little bit later on, because we have all these mini-series things going on, and they're kind of hard to get everything done that we need to get done.
Yeah.
So, Front Row 5 and 10 will return in June, and Subject Cinema will have 3 more shows this month. One next weekend, or weekend after next, which will complete the Masochistc March, and then a 2-parter Memorial Day weekend, which will be our Boston Springs of Festival specials. So we'll give you more information on those later.
And we're very excited about all of it.
This week, though, it's our annual summer preview edition. For the first time ever, we're not using the Entertainment Weekly because I've been damned. You used to be able to find that everywhere. Now it's damn near impossible.
You used to be able to find magazines everywhere.
Well, you can still find a few magazines everywhere, but so we're going to use our number one source for online information, which is boxofficemojo.com. They are the most reliable list on the internet, as I've found. It's one of the sources I go to for 3-Minute Weekend, and they have all the stuff that we're going to be talking about. Now, the summer movie season used to run from Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend.
Yep.
Before that, it used to run from mid-June to Memorial Day. And then they released either Raiders of the Lost Ark or Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom came out Memorial Day weekend. And then ever since then, it's been creeping further and further back. And this year it began on April 26th with the release of Avengers Endgame. So we're not going to talk about Endgame. You heard us talk enough about Endgame in April. And our review will be coming up on our review show in the next week or so. But we're going to go into the in-depth movies, all the big movies, and some of the indie films that'll be hitting this summer.
We sure will.
From May through August. And kicking it off, this weekend, any movie that dared to come out this weekend had to know they would be facing a juggernaut of weekend 2 of Avengers Endgame, which is now over $2 billion.
Yes, it is.
3 movies came out wide in a semi-wide release this weekend. One of them got really good reviews at South by Southwest. That's the political comedy Long Shot, with Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. We were not interested in that in the least. We've seen 2 trailers for it, and I'm like, okay.
Well, the whole idea of it is this guy who, when he was younger, he had a babysitter that he had a crush on,
and now she's vice president of the United States.
Yeah, she starts out as like attorney general or something. Yeah, and now he's grown up and she's grown up.
And so,
it's like the whole babysitter crush grows up thing. I mean, it's been done to death.
But they did get good reviews at South by Southwest. It's a shame they picked this weekend to come out.
Yeah.
Ugly Dolls has not had that same kind of good reviews, with the lead characters voiced by a couple of singers, Kelly Clarkson and Nick Jonas. The animated series, based on a real doll series, I guess.
I guess so.
Didn't do that well. And The Intruder was basically dead on arrival this week, an urban thriller with Megan Good, Michael Ealy, and Dennis Quaid, who I haven't seen in ages.
Yeah. Widowed white former homeowner instead of single white female.
Yeah.
It's basically Fatal Attraction,
with a landlord.
Basically.
Yeah.
Well, this couple buys a house, and the previous owner of the house doesn't seem to understand that when someone new buys your house, you don't live there anymore.
Actually, it was similar to, it's like a role reversal of, was the name of it Pacific Heights with Matthew Modine and Michael Keaton a few years ago?
Yeah.
That's what that reminded me of. Also out in a medium wide release, limited release, was El Chicano, a crime thriller that's been getting rave reviews from the critics. It's out in 605 theaters right now, so it's considered a limited release. Other movies that came out this weekend that are in limited release, and hopefully if you see them, you'll be able to catch them soon. Ask Dr. Ruth, which is a big hit from Sundance. We'll have a review of it soon, with the story of Dr. Ruth Westheimer, and it's gotten rave reviews. Meeting Gorbachev, the documentary interview, where Gorbachev is interviewed by Werner Herzog. Werner Herzog interviewing Gorbachev. That's going to be
I'm sure that's going to be a laugh a minute.
Nonfiction, which was one of the biggest hits in France last year. It's a comedy with Juliette Binoche and a number of other people. Savage, which is an action thriller from Japan. And Shadow, the newest film from Zhang Yimou, his first since getting a nice big hand slap from the Chinese government over his investments last year.
Over the fact that they were pissed off he wasn't giving more of his money to them.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
We missed Shadow at the IFFB because it happened to coincide with the season finale of Supernatural, which Kim was, wanted to see, and we had planned that for weeks ahead. It's coming out shortly, and we'll be able to see it here in Boston in a couple of weeks. All right, now let's forget about this weekend, which is just a financial disaster because of Avengers Endgame overload still, and go on to next week. Next week, May 10th. I think the biggest anticipated film of May is May 10th.
I think so, yeah.
Everyone is continuing to talk about the first live-action animation hybrid film from the people who do Pokemon. Pokemon Detective Pikachu is out this coming Friday. It stars Justice Smith, Bill Nighy, Ken Watanabe, and, of course, the voice of Ryan Reynolds as Detective Pikachu.
And former rising star Catherine Newton.
And Catherine Newton is the female lead, yes.
Yes.
She's a former rising star. She's an alum.
Well, she's an rising star
she's an
alum.
Of Supernatural,
yes.
which is why that comes up.
Yes, it is.
When I first heard of this, I was like, are you kidding me? And yet, every successive trailer has me in stitches. Now, we both dropped out of Pokemon after, 4 seasons? We're so far behind, it's scary.
Yeah.
But we both...
The fact that
she loved it from the beginning. Yeah. I got into it about 6 months later.
The fact that we're admitting we were both into it at all when we were in our 20s is a little bit, I was in my
30s.
I was in my 20s, so it's a little crazy. But yeah, I started watching it first, and I was like...
It's worse than Andrew WK admitting he's a brony.
Yeah, well, that's true.
But
and I was like, this show's really cool, and you were like, this is stupid. Then you started watching it, and you're
I saw Bye Bye Butterfree, and I was sucked in.
Yep.
This movie has been getting mixed reviews, very mixed reviews. They either love it or you hate it, but it is leaning toward the love at the moment. And Ryan Reynolds, I'm sorry, everybody has been calling this Peekapool because Pikachu and Deadpool have the same voice. And only Justice Smith's character can hear Pikachu speak English.
Yeah.
Everyone else hears Pika, Pika, Pikachu.
Yep.
It's the original lady that does the voice for the cartoon.
Yes.
So, I'm like, okay.
And the whole thing of it is the Justice Smith character is looking for his missing father.
It's based on the Detective Pikachu video
yes.
game.
This Pikachu that winds up becoming friends with him and they team up, he's apparently he's an amnesiac. And also the reason
he's lost his Thundershock ability.
Yes,
too.
I don't know, it's almost like a trade-off, because he can speak to someone, he's lost his powers, or he can't remember how to use his powers,
right?
Because he's an amnesiac. Right. We have to see the movie to find out. Right.
So we'll be there with bells on Friday. I just can't find a theater around here that's running it in 3D until late at night because Avengers Endgame again.
Well, see,
if
you say it like that again, I'm going to whip
I'm
this mouse at your
irritated with
head.
this now. They don't need to be doing this with all these other films. Justice Smith, who was on our Rising Stars list 2 years ago, has another connection to Pokemon.
He does?
Do you remember what it was?
No.
Justice Smith, along with Nat Wolff and Austin Abrams, sang the theme from Pokemon during a scene in Paper Towns.
Yes. The criminally underseen Paper Towns.
Thank you, John Green, for that wonderful movie.
Yes.
Also out this coming weekend is Palms, a new comedy which sets up 60-something women against regular cheerleaders in a cheerleading competition. Diane Keaton and Jackie Weaver lead the cast. I think it looks hilarious. We're kind of divided on this.
Yeah.
Because I love Jackie Weaver in practically everything. And I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, making me watch anything with cheerleaders in it is going to make me itch.
She has this instant gut stab, kill, slam, anything to do with cheerleaders.
Oh, I don't know if I'd call it that. Just unending violent rage. Which is not real, so anybody who's really a cheerleader, don't feel triggered.
Yeah.
You're usually a bunch of shallow bitches when you're in the movies.
Okay.
In the movies!
Okay. The other two films coming out this weekend, The Hustle, which is a gender-swapped remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yes, which was a remake of the film Bedtime Story.
Right.
This
is Anne Hathaway.
And Rebel Wilson. They are female con artists trying to see who can pull a bigger score.
I'll go see Palms. You can go see that because you wanted to see that.
Fair
anyway.
enough.
I don't.
Yeah. Well, I loved Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, the film with Michael Caine and Steve Martin. Yeah. As like I said,
that's not the same as Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. I have trouble tolerating
Bedtime Story, which was David Niven and Robert Wagner, I believe. And I love Anne Hathaway. I love when she does funny stuff because she's a very beautiful. She's a very, very, very beautiful woman. And Hollywood has this weird thing that if you're beautiful or handsome, you can't be funny. And I don't understand that. And I'm like, could somebody please just smash through that glass ceiling because it's so lame.
That's not true because back in the day, Katharine Hepburn was known for screwball comedies. So that's been more or less a more recent perception.
It's been since the 50s.
Well, she was doing them then. So was Lucille Ball. I mean, they were considered beauties, and they were doing screwball comedies. So I think it's more recent than that. But
it's more with men.
And Diane Keaton's always done screwball comedies.
It's really more with men. You tend, for some reason, Hollywood has this thing about if you're a man and you're handsome, you always have to play these really earnest, serious roles. I'm like, that's crap. I know so many guys who are good looking and wicked funny.
Yeah.
And it irritates me.
The other wide release this coming weekend is Tolkien, starring Nicholas Hoult as J.R.R. Tolkien during his days at university. We should point out that reviews have not been released yet, which makes it interesting. I don't know whether that's embargo related or what. And the Tolkien estate has completely disavowed this film.
Yeah.
They had nothing to do with it, did not cooperate with the making of it, did not even want it made. So,
considering the fact that this film, from the one trailer that I've seen, this film is really leaning on the idea that, Tolkien's experiences during the war were what prompted him to write The Lord of the Rings.
Well, we knew that. Christopher Lee said that as much.
Yeah, but Tolkien always said that it didn't.
Well,
that
okay.
his experiences didn't prompt him to write it. He was going to write it anyway.
Okay,
you know,
fair
that
enough.
kind of a thing.
There are a couple of limited release movies that have been getting attention coming out this weekend. Also, Biggest Little Farm has been making the runs of the film festivals since Telluride last year. It is about a couple in Los Angeles who drop everything and start their own farm in inner city Los Angeles, and in one of the suburbs, trying to do a sustainable farm area. It has gotten, I mean, the ratings are huge for this. Everybody's raved about it. The other one that's getting attention is Charlie Says, the first of probably several, actually not the first, the second of probably several movies dealing with Charles Manson and family this year, which is the 50th anniversary of the Manson murders in August. Matt Smith steps into the title role here. Matt Smith is the most bizarre casting I think I've ever heard of for Charles Manson. He's way too tall, number one. Charlie was only 5'3", 5'4". He was tiny. Matt Smith is 6 foot almost. This is like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But it has gotten decent reviews for his performance, although not overall in general. But the critics have been really singling him out as doing a great job. So those are some of the films coming out on this weekend. Moving forward to May 17th, sequels and sequels and sequels. Well, not all of them. A Dog's Journey. That's the sequel to A Dog's Life last year.
Yes.
This pretty much speaks for itself. It's a dog movie.
Well, hopefully it's a dog movie that's not going to get hit with a ton of controversy right before it comes out.
Yeah. John Wick 3, Parabellum comes out. This is... I'm sorry. If you had told me 10 years ago that Keanu Reeves would be a leading action star in his 50s, I would have been like...
I would have laughed in your face.
What are you smoking?
Yeah.
John Wick has become the biggest hit Keanu has had in ages. He's done 2 of them so far. This one, smells like another one.
Yep.
Another big hit. The other one that's coming out is The Sun Is Also a Star. This has been getting talked about online for a while. It's based on a young adult novel, and of course they don't have any casting here. That's the one thing I don't like about Box Office Mojo. They don't have a lot of casting information. But it is also coming out wide and is expected to do well with the teen crowd. It's a teen-aimed film. Some other films are coming out in limited release that weekend, including the film that was one of the biggest hits of the Sundance Film Festival this year, The Souvenir. This was a drama that has been getting all kinds of word of mouth. Tilda Swinton is the star, and it looks to be probably one of those major indie films that will do really well on the landmark circuit, which will finish it, and probably if it wasn't so early, I would say it's a shot at Oscar, but it's awfully early for this time of year. A couple more indies coming out throughout that week, and then we get to the weekend of May 24th. Now, this movie, there's 3 interesting, completely different movies coming out this weekend. There was a 4th, Ad Astra, which has now been bumped to fall. This was a science fiction film with Brad Pitt. We'll talk about it in our fall show. The first one is Brightburn. This is from James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
It's basically what would happen if Superman turned out to be psychotic.
Yeah. It really is. It's the whole trope of, this young alien that comes to Earth as an infant, is taken in by an Earth couple, and they raise him with love, and he develops superpowers, and then something goes wrong.
Yeah, he's only 14 in this one, so it's a little bit different, but it's already
that is a really
great buzz.
That is a really terrifying concept when you think about it,
There's Booksmart, the new comedy. This is the one that was directed by Olivia Wilde, who most people know probably best from Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. It's a comedy set in the last part of senior year for a bunch of girls, and obviously their parents here, obviously played by Will Forte, Lisa Kudrow, and Jason Sudeikis, none of whom I've seen on the main cast list.
Yep. Also coming out that day is Disney's live-action version that absolutely nobody asked for of Aladdin.
This is either going to be a big hit, or one of the biggest crash and burn moments in Disney history.
I'm voting.
Possibly on a Newsies level crash and burn.
I'm voting for the latter.
Will Smith is the genie.
Yeah.
Unknown cast other than that, pretty much. And
well, they're figuring no one else is going to pay any attention to anybody else because it's Will Smith.
They played some clips from it at CinemaCon this year for the which is the NATO group, the National Association of Theater Owners, their conference every year in April, and they got rave reviews from the theater owners. Not so much from the fans who saw the trailer online. It could be a mistake, and it might be the biggest mistake of Will Smith's career. We'll see. Because the man has enormous shoes to step into here. He is filling in for Robin Williams, who played him in the animated films, and it was like, oh my God.
This is not going to work.
I don't know. I don't seriously think it is either.
Considering
of that weekend's entertainment, I think Brightburn is the one that I'd be most interested in.
Considering the fact that the word that got used a lot when people saw the trailer, talking about Will Smith's genie, the words that I kept seeing were scary, horrifying, terrifying, stuff like that. That's not what you want to see.
There is a great, a small film, word-of-mouth film coming out, which is already premiered. I think it premiered at Tribeca, but it may have shown earlier than that somewhere else. A documentary, Halston, about the legendary designer. This has been getting rave reviews wherever I've seen it, so that might be something that you'd be interested in. And then May 31st, Kim's Weekend, because I'm not going to hear the end of it all month long. In addition to Ma, which is a new thriller, it's your basically horror thriller type stuff that comes out every other week, it seems like anymore. And Rocket Man, the new musical about Elton John starring Taron Egerton and Jamie Bell as Bernie Taupin. I mean, this is not a good weekend to open this film because I really want Rocket Man to work. But seriously, you're going against the movie we're talking about all month long on our Big G Tokyo Town Stomp Down. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, have at it.
Sorry, a little excited. Godzilla, King of the Monsters is a sequel to the legendary Godzilla film from Legendary Studios that came out a few years back and was frickin' amazing. This film, Godzilla is back. But more to the point, Godzilla is not alone.
He's also the last one to arrive.
He is the last one to arrive because he's the most important.
Yeah.
And I will fight anybody who
says
otherwise.
This film has King Ghidorah,
this film
Mothra,
has Rodan, Godzilla, and the who's probably going to be the ultimate adversary, King Ghidorah, who they have showed in more than a few trailers, and trust me, that was a pants-wetting moment.
Yeah, they've done a great job.
Ghidorah has always been one of my favorite bad monsters, because he's always one of the baddies, and the way they did it in this film, my jaw just was in my lap. And because I am an enormous G fan, I cannot wait for this film. The thing that I love the most is that somebody actually gets it. There's a scene in the film where a bunch of, politicians and all that, they're trying to figure out what to do about all these monsters that are appearing.
Well, this is not the first time we saw this person get it. He was in the first one, too.
I know. And these politicians who are a bunch of dim-witted, out-of-touch people that don't know what they're dealing with,
reality bites, doesn't it?
Yeah. Whose whole attitude is, Godzilla's going to be our pet, and Ken Watanabe's character says, no, we'd be his.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you, Jesus! Somebody gets it!
Ken Watanabe back playing the same character from the first film. So is David Strathairn, who was the leader of the military.
The French lady from the first film is back as well, isn't she?
Yes.
Unfortunately, Elizabeth Olsen and Aaron Taylor Johnson are not back, which sucks. But Millie Bobby Brown is in it, so that should bring in the
Kyle Chandler. So it should be interesting to see what happens. Once again, my only complaint about what I've seen in the trailers is it's too damn dark to see anything. A lot of times, I mean, this last week's episode of Game of Thrones notwithstanding, which I guess was worse than anything, except maybe Memoria for darkness and trying to see stuff. the thing that bugged me about Godzilla when it came out a few years ago was that it was so damn dark you couldn't see half the stuff. And this one looks like it's going to be the same way.
You complained about that a lot. I do remember that. I don't agree with you, but I do remember you having that issue. But
Right.
I was just, I'm sorry, when that line came up, like I said, seriously, I was like, thank you, Jesus. Somebody finally gets what's supposed to be happening here.
Yep. Skipping into June.
Boing.
Boing. June 7th, there is a lot of movies coming out that are going to be huge.
The studios hope.
Well, no, because these have all been... 3 of these films have already been looked at by the critics as critically acclaimed. The 4th one is... I'm not sure about the 4th one. The 5th one got better reactions than they thought it would from the fans. So let's start off with this. The biggest seller in the history of Sundance ever... I mean, going way back to the 80s when it started. Late night comedy series, a comedy movie about a late night talk show host, venerable, long time, 20 plus years talk show host, played by Emma Thompson.
Yep.
That hasn't happened yet, has it? Is more comfortable with her all male writing staff, but is forced to hire a new female to balance out the back room as it is by the network. And Mindy Kaling is the unfortunate woman that gets brought in. This thing has gotten rave reviews. It was the biggest seller in the history of Sundance. It outdid, I think, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl had that title beforehand. And it was, I mean, it looks good. Emma Thompson stills as his talk show host. She looks fabulous. It's not based in reality. We have yet to have a really successful female talk show host on a major network.
That's only because they haven't asked me.
Joan Rivers tried and failed, unfortunately, because Fox didn't give her enough time.
Well, Chelsea Handler had a show for a while
Yeah,
on
but she
E
wasn't
that
on-
did.
she wasn't
no,
on a major network,
it wasn't
though.
a major network, but it was on E for quite a bit.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm available if anybody wants to give somebody a talk show and give them a chance. I'm out there.
The other movie that got critical raves at Sundance is The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Drama that has got everybody raving about it and said to be very good.
Yep.
Wide releases, though, in addition to late night, The Secret Life of Pets 2.
Yay!
Sequel to Illumination's big hit of a couple years ago. Sorry, I gotta do it. Illumination! Gotta do it.
That movie was so funny.
It was.
It was funny, it was sad, and it was really, really hilarious. I hope they can capture that magic again.
Yep.
Most of the cast is back, not everybody.
Patton Oswalt is stepping in for Louis C.K. here.
Yeah.
But other
and
than
Harrison
that,
Ford is joining the cast as well, so
Yeah.
that'll be interesting.
Yeah, but most of the ads I've noticed have centered around Lake Bell's character, which is Chloe. The gigantic cat. And it's interesting. But the first one is such a riot.
I'd like to bring up when you're saying gigantic. Unfortunately, we're not talking about height.
No, we're talking.
We're talking width. We're not talking height.
Take Maru and times it by 10. I don't think that's unkind. The other film coming out in a big wide release that weekend is Dark Phoenix. Now, this is an interesting one because they have had reshoot after reshoot after reshoot on this film. Scared to death. They showed it for test audiences, and test audiences were not real kind to it. And then they showed clips of it to a general audience, and they went absolutely nuts. I can't tell whether that's going to work or not. It is the final X-Men movie in the current regime at Fox. After this point, it is a Disney-owned property now, and Disney will reboot everything eventually. But this is the final film that will star the current group of X-Men regulars. That's Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, and Jennifer Lawrence in the big roles, plus Ty Sheridan, Sophie Turner, otherwise known as Mrs. Joe Jonas now.
Yeah.
Who am I forgetting? Cody Schmidt-McPhee, and 2 or 3 other regulars too. I can't remember who.
Did you say James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender?
Yeah, I got them at the top. Yeah, and Evan Peters. I don't know how they're going to squish Dark Phoenix into 2.5 hours. They already tried it with X-Men: The Last Stand. Yeah. We liked it. Nobody else did.
No, everybody else we know.
We liked it because of Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah. Because I have a big crush on Beast. Fight me.
But this one, I mean, I love the new cast. I love the current cast of the group.
I have to be honest. All of the commercials up to this point, I've been like, The last trailer that we saw, I was like, okay, I'm actually now interested.
They don't make any bones of the fact, which on the most recent trailer, spoiler alert, but the trailer is out there. Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique bites the dust early in the film, courtesy of Jean Grey. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be an interesting thing to see what they do with it. But Dark Phoenix again also opens on June 7th. June 14th. Now, this is a weekend I'm like, okay, what the hell? You have the new Jim Jarmusch feature, The Dead Don't Die, which is opening the Cannes Film Festival, a zombie comedy. I imagine that's like Zombieland?
I guess, maybe.
With Bill Murray,
Warm Bodies. Or
Bill Murray, Caleb Landry Jones, a whole bunch of good people are in it. But the two major films, that was opening limited release. Shaft. Do we need a new version of Shaft? We already had a new version of Shaft.
Well, this is the same version of Shaft. This is just, ow.
Well, it is, but it's Shaft. Okay, and...
All right, let's try and map this out for people. Richard Roundtree is in the film as John Shaft I. Samuel L. Jackson is in the film as John Shaft II, who was the first Shaft's nephew. And his son, John Shaft Jr., is being played by Jesse Usher. Did you get all that? Because I'm not doing it again.
Ow. Yes. I don't need all this.
It has been 19 years since the last Shaft film, which also starred Samuel L. Jackson and Richard Roundtree. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I'm like, if people feel like they needed to make this movie, great. But I'm like, why?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about the other movie coming out that day, too. Mm-hmm. Men in Black International, trying to recapture that magic that Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones had 20 years ago, this time around with Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's going to work for me because I'm always going to think of them as Thor and Valkyrie. Mm-hmm. So
it's not that I have a problem with it. I just have a problem with the fact that it's Men in Black and all that stuff with that. And that whole Men in Black thing makes me uncomfortable. Just the whole idea that because certain of us, you can't see me, but I'm totally raising my hand, totally believe in the idea that there are beings out there, that we are not alone, and the idea that the government is keeping that from us is really depressing. And the fact that, I kind of feel like, and I also feel like this movie has too much clothing, and Chris Hemsworth needs to remove his pants immediately!
Not if he looked the way he looked in Avengers Endgame.
You're a jerk.
I'm sorry. I'm accurate, too.
You're a jerk. And we're not talking about that anymore.
We have a severe disagreement over that one. Moving on to Friday the 21st. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's fair to say that everything is going to get bowled over by Toy Story 4. The new Pixar film.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it will. It'll be at least $50 million ahead of the number 2 movie, which will be Child's Play, the new remake, with Mark Hamill as the voice of Chucky.
Yeah.
Could he keep his Star Wars comments in Chucky from now on? Because I'm tired of listening to him. I really am. Anyway, I don't know why we need a remake of Child's Play. Do we really need a remake of Child's Play? Honestly? Toy Story 4, it's a Toy Story franchise. It's going to be a hit. And they have a new character, Sporky, this time. Okay. Anna is an action thriller.
Yes.
All coming out the same weekend. I think it's very likely that Toy Story 4 is just going to mow over the competition. You think Child's Play is going to give it more of a run?
I actually do. Because you're going to have people
Even though we have the track record now that Pet Sematary completely and totally bombed at the box office.
I understand that. I do understand that. But it's Mark Hamill. And,
that's your loyalty speaking, not the quality of the movie.
It is my loyalty speaking. And I'm not going to deny that. And I'm not going to be ashamed of that.
Of course, the voice of Chucky in the original films was done by Brad Dourif. So.
Yes, I'm not going to be ashamed of that either. Yeah. And also, as you mentioned, Anna comes out that Friday. Anna, which is basically Black Widow without Black Widow, directed by Luc Besson, but what's the point?
Is it a follow-up to Lucy?
No, I mean it's about a beautiful assassin.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking that was his last film.
I'm just saying it's just the synopsis of it sounds like Black Widow without actually having Black Widow in it.
So it's Red Sparrow.
pretty much.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Which was also Black Widow without Black Widow in it. And the audiences went, who cares? It does star Sasha Luce and Helen Mirren. So
on the 28th, Annabelle Comes Home, the latest in the Conjuring spin-off of films. Again, why?
I'm sorry, not for nothing.
I know they're hits, but...
I know they're hits too, and I'm not going to knock that, but not for nothing. Who in their right mind would let a doll that looks like that in their house? Seriously, would you let that in your house?
Well, it's an antique. They think of it as antique collectible.
No. Salt and burn it. I'm sorry.
All right, Supernatural's taking over your mind there.
I'm sorry. I think somebody who didn't watch Supernatural would be like, salt and burn that thing. I'm not letting it in my house.
Yesterday has a lot of attention coming its way. I've got to be honest, this film, it's been done before.
It's a weird concept.
It's Danny Boyle's new film about a young man who aspires to be a musician, isn't getting anywhere, and then one day he wakes up and nobody knows who the Beatles are. So he starts appropriating their music. This was already done.
That's called stealing.
Well, and not if everybody else doesn't remember it. This was done way back in the 80s on an episode of a science fiction show called Otherworld. Same exact premise.
It also has a slight resemblance, not as much. There was a movie that came out a while back called The Invention of Lying.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of that as well. You know, the whole idea that this guy wakes up, all of a sudden he's on a planet where everybody else is always honest. He's the only person that can lie. So it's like that. When I saw what this was about, I was like, hey.
I don't know. Danny Boyle has a marvelous track record. He's a great director, does some wonderful things. But he passed Bond 25 for this? Okay.
I mean, it's got an interesting group of people in it, including Lily James, and Ed Sheeran is in it as himself.
Yeah.
I'm like, good, because from what I've heard...
Ed's acting in a couple of movies this summer, too.
Yeah, from what I've heard, Ed as an actor is a great musician. Which stinks, because I love Ed. I'm like, if he turns out to be an awesome actor, too, I will just have to throw myself off something, because that means he can do everything. Yeah. But apparently I'm safe. Sorry, Ed. Love Beautiful. Great song. You're awesome. Don't ever change.
Heading into July... this is the busy month, as it always is. There's a lot of interesting things coming out. Every weekend there's one big title that's expected to explode. And so far, the weekend of the 3rd, which is actually a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So actually the weekend would be the 5th, the day after the 4th. The 4th of July weekend is the most profitable weekend of the summer movie season, usually. Especially when it actually takes place near a weekend, and the 4th this year is on Thursday. So it's going to shoot Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's a huge weekend. Midsummer, which is a horror film from the UK, I believe, has chosen this weekend to stake itself out opposite Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yes.
Which is idiotic, in my opinion.
It's not very bright, no.
Spider-Man Far From Home, we still do not know where in the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline this film takes place. From the trailer, I am led to believe it's right after Endgame, but it might not be. We're actually being told, some sources are saying it is set right before Infinity War and right after Civil War. I don't see how that's possible.
I don't see how that's possible, and we also know that they tend to try to mislead us anyway. Yeah. So there's that. From what I've read things about, that it's shortly after Endgame.
Yeah.
All I know is the trailers.
Like days after Endgame.
Yeah. All I know is the trailers have been amazing and confusing. First of all, I'm just happy that Tom Holland is back as Spider-Man because. Yay! I'm sorry. He's just the cutest superhero ever. There, I said it. Not sorry. But the thing that I don't get, and the place where I'm really seriously confused, is what the hell are they doing with Mysterio?
Mysterio is a face in this.
Don't use wrestling terminology.
He's a face in this. He's an advisor.
I'm like, what?
And we will also see Vulture, the bad guy from the first film, back in this one.
I'm sorry. I'm completely like, what? What do you mean Mysterio's on a... What? Huh?
Mysterio, actually, in this version, is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it is going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
I am really confused because Mysterio's been one of Spider-Man's biggest villains for years and years and years and ever.
But remember, Marvel Cinematic Universe does not always play with the universe the way it's expected.
I know. I understand.
Civil War was complete upside down.
Yeah. And it was great. And I thought it was great.
I liked it better the second time, yeah.
Not my fault you're a late bloomer.
Yeah,
but anyway, I'm just kind of like, I still don't know how that's going to go, but I'm like, okay. I didn't realize that I always thought 4th of July would be not as good because you figure everybody's out. Everybody's like,
it's a family movie weekend.
Well, yeah, okay.
And this is the first year there hasn't been a major animated film opening on the 4th of July in years.
That's true.
So, both Despicable Me 2 and Minions opened on the 4th of July weekend. And it's like, okay, this is crazy. Moving on to the 12th, I don't want to be the 12th. Because there are 3 wide movies that a lot of people haven't heard of at this point.
Nope.
And 2 really loved, critically acclaimed indies coming out. The 2 indies are The Art of Self-Defense, which was a rave hit at South by Southwest. How did you describe it? It's basically the Karate Kid Johnny story.
Yeah.
With Jesse Eisenberg as Daniel, in this case.
Right.
Taking on the Kreese classes. Mm-hmm. After getting beat up,
Jesse Eisenberg plays a guy that gets mugged, and he decides to go to, learn martial arts to toughen up and stuff like that.
It also has elements of like the old style kung fu movies with Jackie Chan, where there's this kind of evil, ruthless mentor.
Yeah, it's the whole trope of that your mentor is all like, well, I'm going to teach you kung fu, but first I'm going to break you.
It got
rave
make you do
all kinds of crazy crap.
We still passed on it when it was at IFFB because we didn't have the time. The other one also, which closed IFFB, is The Farewell. It is the lead role debut of comedian Awkwafina, a veteran of our 2018 Rising Stars list. Mm-hmm. In this movie, they find out the family matriarch is dying of lung cancer, but they decide not to tell her. Instead, they fake a wedding back home in China so that everybody can get back together again.
And she'll be surrounded by her loved ones when the inevitable happens.
Yeah.
Also coming out on the 12th is Crawl. Oh boy.
Do tell.
Huh?
Do tell.
Oh, yes. Crawl is a horror film, is how it's being described. I'm going to read this right off the IMDb.
Uh-huh.
A young woman who attempts to save her father during a Category 5 hurricane finds herself trapped in a flooding house and must fight for her life against alligators.
So it's the Blake Lively movie with sharks in a house.
I'm sorry.
And Sharknado.
Did we really need to be sold on the idea that alligators are dangerous? I mean, did I miss a memo? Really?
This year's stupid action comedy. This is how it's been described. That could be a big hit. Is Stuber. Stuber stars Kumail Nanjiani as an Uber driver whose car is taken over by gung-ho cop Dave Bautista in a attempt to track down a ruthless killer.
Yeah. So, does anybody remember the movie Collateral with Tom Cruise as a hitman and Jamie Foxx as a cab driver?
Flip that around.
So flip it around. So now it's good guys in an Uber, and you've basically got this movie. Also on the same day.
This movie, I'm sorry, no. What I've seen of this movie looks like it's going to be a Scream. Because if there's one thing we didn't expect coming out of the WWE, Dave Bautista is great at comedy.
Dave Bautista
I
is
had
funny
no
as
idea
hell.
he would be that good. And he has been the bright spot in the Guardians of the Galaxy's films. So
And Groot.
Well, Groot and Rocket together, but I'm saying his character is so plays well off everybody, and it just works well.
Because he's so clueless. It's so funny. Also coming out the same day, 21 Bridges, starring Chadwick Boseman, which will get me there, because I love Chadwick Boseman. I think he's awesome. It is the story of a disgraced detective in the New York Police Department that is given a shot at redemption.
You have heard Chadwick without his Wakandan accent, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Because I know you find that extremely sexy, too.
I have a thing for accents. Woman needs, don't judge.
Yeah.
But I think he's an amazing actor and super easy on the eyes. So that'll be really interesting as well.
July 19th is the film that everybody thinks is going to be the next Avengers Endgame. I'm not so sure they're right. Disney's Lion King, the, quote, Dr. Evil quotes, live-action version of the popular animated film from 1993 or 94, which is basically Kimba the White Lion with a new name.
Thank you!
I'm going to say it because you're just sitting there with your face going and you're not going to say it, so I'm going to say it.
Well, because if I said it, I would start swearing, and you keep yelling at me, this is a family show, so I can't.
This movie is not live action. I'm sorry. You can call it live action all you want to. It has live backgrounds. But the film is animated.
It is live action. The animals are rendered realistically.
Oh, wow, are they realistic?
But it's not a live action movie.
Although Disney has announced it will not be entered in the animated film category next year at the Oscars. They want to compete strictly on a live action level with this film. So they're going to miss out on it, I think. I don't know. They may change their mind. But, you know, one thing Jon Favreau has shown himself good at, it's of action films with a lot of CGI. Started with Iron Man. Then he did the Jungle Book movie, which was just phenomenal.
Oh, that was amazing.
And now this one. I'm sorry. This chunky guy that plays Happy in the Iron Man films and the star of Chef, I would have never figured him to be a director that could handle this kind of stuff. And man, he done some spectacular stuff.
He has. He's amazing.
The other one coming out that weekend, that's wide, and it's the only wide release scheduled right now. Although keep in mind that these are subject to change. There are still more festivals going on that could see more films entered into the summer race. The other film coming out there is another rave review. I believe it was the South by Southwest. David Crosby, Remember My Name. It is a documentary about the legendary singer. He's featured quite a bit in it. He's got an extensive interview. He has been promoting it relentlessly on the film festival circuit. And he has always been an outspoken person about politics, about war, about music. I'm looking forward to seeing it, even though I don't always agree with his policy, with his way of thinking. I think it should be fascinating to see what he's got to say. The 26th, again, this is another weekend that's just going to be pummeled by Tarantino's new film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Leonardo DiCaprio as the Burt Reynolds clone here, and Brad Pitt as the Hal Needham clone. Getting mixed up in...
Hold on, just real quick. We all know who Burt Reynolds is. Could you please explain to younger folks who Hal Needham is?
Hal Needham was Burt Reynolds' stuntman in a lot of early films and television shows, and he went on to a greater career as a director, thanks to Burt. Burt starred in a number of films he directed, and it was their relationship stayed close all their lives.
Yeah, they were. I mean, I wouldn't put them on like the Russ Meyer level, but they were definitely action. Car crash, shoot 'em up, pretty girl kind of movies.
And the two of them get embroiled in what's going on in Hollywood in August 1969, which, again, as we said earlier, the Tate LaBianca murders, the Charles Manson murders. So it's going to be interesting.
But that's an actual background to the other stuff in the
Although
movie.
they are in the film.
They are in it, but they're not the focal point of it.
No, they're not.
Which
there's
is completely
actually
insane,
a clip. I've seen a clip of Leo as his character as a hullabaloo audition dancer, which I'm like, yeah, I don't think Burt Reynolds would have really done that. I'm sorry. It's like, okay.
That and everyone under our age, actually everyone under my age, watching that going, what the hell is a hullabaloo?
Tarantino has finished editing it and will show the film in competition at Cannes. There was some worry that he wouldn't make the deadline. He was not announced when the con list came out a couple of weeks ago, but it was announced on Wednesday. He will be there. He will be competing for the Palme d'Or. So it'll be interesting. I'm not a Tarantino fan in general.
No,
I like
you're not.
Kill Bill, but I've not really liked the rest of his films. So I don't know how this is going to go.
I have to be honest, I am a skating on the edge Tarantino fan. I love Kill Bill Volume 2. I, for the longest time, thought Pulp Fiction was overrated. I have changed my mind about that. I've never seen Inglourious Bastards. What I saw of The Hateful Eight was interesting. I did like Jackie Brown. But... like I said, I can take him or leave him.
The other thing coming out wide that weekend is The Boy 2. Did we need a sequel to this?
No, I don't see why we... No, I don't know. Coming into smaller theaters that same day, Tel Aviv on Fire, which is a comedy drama, and a documentary that are 4 words that if you were a businessman in the 80s, struck...
Or 70s, late 70s, early 80s,
If you were a businessman or a politician or anything like that in the 70s or 80s, these 4 little words would strike fear in your heart if your secretary buzzed the buzzer thing and said, Mike Wallace is here. Mike Wallace was one of the reporters on 60 Minutes, and if he showed up at your door, stuff was gonna go very wrong because somebody found out what you did.
Yeah, and you know what's really amazing?
What?
I don't know if they'll touch on it in this, but Wallace got his start as a game show host.
He did?
Yeah. On CBS before he even became... It was a short-lived game show in the 50s before he started with CBS News. I thought it was interesting to...
That's wild.
I think it was called You're in the Picture or You're in the Know.
No, that was the Jackie Gleason show.
There was but they're not all... Remember, the titles, there have been 4 different television shows called Wheel of Fortune, so...
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's move on to August.
Yeah. Actually, the one more film... is this in July
What's
still?
that?
The Dora movie?
No, we're moving into August.
Okay.
Technically, it comes out August 1st.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Right?
I don't know.
No, wait a minute. That's weird. It's on our calendar. It says Wednesday, August. Is that the 31st of July? All right, it is Wednesday, July 31st.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
Right. The live-action version of a Nickelodeon cartoon that I'm pretty sure
Nobody asked
for.
And is getting derided terribly online.
Dora and the Lost City of Gold, which is based on the cartoon Dora the Explorer, which is for...
preschool kids.
Preschool children.
Dora's 14 in this movie.
Yes. And
what?
Yeah.
That's like Percy Jackson, played by Logan Lerman, who's supposed to be 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they didn't want a 10-year-old driving a car in the movie because I think that would,
I know.
But this film is this film is kind of what I've seen. Well, the trailer made me think of what would happen if you put Dora the Explorer, Nancy Drew, and Scooby-Doo in a blender and hit puree. This is the result.
Even America's Test Kitchen wouldn't touch that one. I'm sorry, no. Actually, heading into August now. Mm-hmm. Unlike a minute ago where we thought we were doing that. You are looking forward to this, and I don't blame you because it's got to cut. These two have got chemistry out the wazoo,
yeah, they do.
And they're 2 of the funnest action stars on the planet.
Yeah, they
Dwayne
are.
Johnson and Jason Statham in Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
The trailer is a riot, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. This would actually be the first time I'd ever been to a Fast and Furious movie, so this is going to be really interesting. The story of it actually has more of a science fiction-y feel to it as well. With the team up, the very reluctant team up of federal agent Luke Hobbs, played by Dwayne Johnson, and a military agent from Britain that has become a mercenary, Deckard Shaw, played by Jason Statham. And they have to team up against a bad guy played by Idris Elba, who is a genetically enhanced, dare I use it? I'm going to anyway, super soldier. But he's, on the wrong side. I'm sorry, this movie looks like it is going to be fun as hell. And the fact that Roman Reigns is in it does not hurt.
Well, we don't know how big of a part he has.
I don't care.
Couldn't have been that much. He was still in a chemotherapy treatment.
I realize that. Roman, we love you. We're glad you're back.
The other film opening that day is a critically acclaimed film that opened the IFFB this year. It was actually from Sundance, called Loose, about a pair of parents in the UK who have taken a young man into their home, who they then start to suspect might be planning a terrorist attack. Loose has been raved about at every festival it has been seen at. It got rave reviews here in Boston. So it's interesting. Now, also,
allegedly.
What?
Well, what were you talking? I'm sorry. Where were you going?
Where I was going with the next one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Originally, for a year or two now, New Mutants was scheduled for August 2nd. It was officially pulled from the schedule 2 weeks ago, amidst word that they've never done the so-called reshoots that everyone's been reporting on. Mm-hmm. And the cast doesn't know what's going on. I still think this film's going to get buried because it's not, it's the last film of the X-Men related stuff to come out of the 20th century before the merger with Disney. And it would just be cheaper at this point to just eat the $20 million they've spent on it, or $50 million, write it off on their taxes, and move on.
It would seem that way.
At this point. The 9th, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, the 9th has quite a few films that are going to be going wide release. One of them has a built-in audience, and that would be Artemis Fowl. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem with built-in audiences sometimes is the fact that Artemis Fowl, which is based on a very popular young adult book series, dealing with a young thief, and there's trolls and fairies and all kinds of things like that. The problem with an established property, I guess we'll go with that. That can be a two-edged sword, because what happens is when people hear such and such is coming out, everybody goes, "Yay, that's coming out." The problem is,
you don't even have to go with problem. You don't have to describe it. All you have to do is say the following titles.
Yeah.
The Spiderwick Chronicles. The Vampire, what is it? Vampire
Academy.
No, the one with...
Cirque du Freak.
Cirque du Freak, the Vampire's Assistant.
Yeah, also Vampire Academy, The Mortal Instruments, although that did well on TV. Because, let's be perfectly honest, for every Harry Potter or Hunger Games, there's His Dark Materials, which came out as The Golden Compass,
right.
Or... The Maze Runner, although that's done moderate, or the Divergent series, or
which
whatever.
Kind of tripped down throughout.
Yeah.
And didn't
See, the
even
thing
get
is,
the last one.
The problem is with an established thing like this, you have people excited about it, but if they go see it and it's not what they want from the material that they've read, they're going to go online and eat your project up alive.
Again,
and they're
that's
going
what happened
to tell,
with the Percy Jackson movies too.
And they're going to tell other fans, "Don't go see this. It's nothing like the book." So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Also coming out on the 9th is a film that I am interested in, and I am probably going to be going to by myself.
Yes. I don't do horror films.
No, you don't.
Stacey would probably love to go with you.
I know.
Anthony might like to go with you.
I know. Jared or Jensen, if you're free that weekend.
They're married.
Fine. Some scary stories to tell in the dark, which is based on a series of books, which were all short stories. Most of them are short stories that everybody has heard around the campfire, or, that kind of, and some of them were stories that are based on urban legends and things like that. This movie is taking that concept, and it's the whole idea of a group of kids having to face their fears or be destroyed by them. So I'm not really sure if they're doing this in an anthology series style or what. I'm interested in it simply because I liked those books. I like the books because, like I said, they were short stories, and me and my very tiny attention span, that worked out really well for me. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Anybody in the Boston area who wants to have somebody to go? No, no. That's just a joke.
Brian Banks is a movie about a football player's dreams getting shattered when he's wrongly convicted and sent to prison, and he tries to fight and clear his name within an unjust system.
Oh, great.
Aldous Hodge, Greg Kinnear, Sherry Shepard, and a number of other people. I have not heard any word of mouth about this yet. I don't think it's gotten any early showings as of this point. And The Kitchen, an action crime drama.
Yes, this sounds really interesting, and it's got an amazing cast.
It's a comic book adaptation.
The plot of The Kitchen is the wives of New York gangsters in Hell's Kitchen, that's where the title comes from, in the 70s, who continue to operate their husbands' businesses, Dr. Evil quotes, after they're sent to jail. The cast includes Domhnall Gleeson, whom I will watch do anything because he is awesome.
He's such a creep in the Star Wars movies.
Oh, I know he is. I completely want to hit him in the face with a frying pan. But he's so... Your character, Domhnall, not you.
I love his dad,
You know, you're a lovely person. Call me sometime. Also, Elizabeth Moss, Melissa McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish, Margot Martindale, whom we love because she's awesome. Common. It's got an amazing cast, and I really want to see this.
Yep, Sundance documentary winner One Child Nation also opens in limited release that weekend. On the 16th, we can personally vouch for one of the two films that is appearing as a limited release that weekend because we've already seen it. It's Cold Case Hammerdown.
Yes.
The supposed story of the assassination of
the maybe assassination of Dag Hammarskjöld.
Well, yeah, who was the UN Secretary General back in the 60s. It actually turns into something completely different as you continue to watch the film. It's a great movie, and we
really
did enjoy it a lot.
But
we'll talk about it more on our Boston Springs Festival show.
It is really a good movie, but cheese and crackers, you have to pay attention. If you look away for 1 second and you come back, you're going, wait, what? Did they change the reels? Are we watching a different movie? What the hell? You know,
it's an interesting film.
It really is, definitely. But it's like, wah! I'm all over the road now.
Sequel to 47 Meters Down, called 47 Meters Down Uncaged.
Nope.
Why? You wanted to see the first one?
Yeah. No. Nope. Some of us in this room, you totally can't see me, but I'm totally raising my hand. Some of us have a teeny bit of claustrophobia, and some of us don't want to have somebody call us an Uber because we're screaming and vomiting in the theater from stress. Right. I can't deal with that.
Good Boys, which has been playing at festivals and getting word of mouth that's interesting. It's kind of like what was the name of that film? It's kind of like Superbad Junior.
Yeah.
The kids are 13 in this film. Jacob Tremblay is the star. It got really good notices at either Sundance or South by Southwest. And then a couple weeks later, it played another film festival and just got trashed by the critics, by the fans. It's really hard to tell where this film is going to go. And it's even more interesting because Jacob Tremblay has always played these super very friendly, uptight kids.
Sweet.
Sweet. Made his big name in Room with Brie Larson a few years ago. And now here, these three boys are basically a bunch of hooligans.
Yeah.
Trying to get through 6th grade. And I'm like, okay.
They're trying to make it home for a party, and there's drugs and teenage girls and all kinds of things happening.
I don't know some of the critics loved it. I'm kind of leaning toward no myself because I like him, but it'll probably be the kind of movie that I would watch on cable rather than watch on a big screen. So.
I have this awful feeling that if I see a trailer for this movie, I'm going to be sitting there going,
"Oh, I've seen the trailer. The trailer's online. You can see it online."
Well, yeah, but my thing is, I'm like, if I see something for this film, I know I'm going to sit there and be like, "Oh, you boys, what are you doing?" And then I'm going to realize, oh my gosh, I sound like my mom. And then I'm going to lock myself in the bathroom and cry for an hour. Love you, Ma. The Informer also comes out on the 16th of August, and this is a crime drama starring Joel Kinnaman, who I think most people probably know from Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, and I know him basically primarily from his role and the box office bomb Darkest Hour. Mm-hmm. And he was
yeah.
also the new RoboCop, which didn't go anywhere.
It is the story of an ex-convict who is working undercover, and he intentionally gets himself put back into jail in order to infiltrate the mob in a secure, one of those really secure, don't screw around prisons.
Right.
So that should be really joyful.
Another film that's coming out that weekend that I keep looking at the description of this film from different places, different sources, and they're all giving completely different, divergent ideas as to what this film is about.
Oh, great. So nobody knows.
Yeah. Well, it's the latest film from Richard Linklater. It's called Where'd You Go, Bernadette? Kate Blanchett is the subject of the mystery in the movie. Mm-hmm. Also starring Kristen Wiig, Judy Greer, Billy Crudup, and Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah. It's basically Midlife Crisis, the movie.
Yeah, except did she disappear on her own, or did she
Yeah, it's a woman that she just, she's a wife, she's a mother, and then she's gone. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Gone Girl, but without the serious stuff.
Well, there is some serious stuff in it too, but it's mostly comedy.
It's mostly comedic.
Yeah.
Also that day is another film that's coming out, but we're not sure in what release. Aquarella, which is a documentary. It is about water. Mm-hmm. It is a movie about water and how important water is to the planet, to human beings, and how water is something we need, and how also water is something that can, kill us. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure everyone's going to be sitting there watching this movie with their legs crossed because we're all going to have to pee.
It was a big hit at Sundance again. It can't be. I mean, there have been a couple movies about water in that aspect the last couple of years. One of them was Ian Chaney's last film. I can't remember what the name of it was. Mm-hmm. And another one called Watermark, which really disappointed me because, again, they made the mistake of comparing it to Koyaanisqatsi. It wasn't anything like it. So this one could be interesting. Now, okay, Wednesday, August 14th is the absolute biggest film everybody is absolutely dying to see because everybody demanded it, and we have to have it in the theater right now. August 14th, Angry Birds 2. Really? Did we need a freaking sequel to this movie?
Well, that's just great. You have now used all the sarcasm for the rest of the show, and we can't use any more sarcasm.
Well, you're already using it right now, so you're obviously lying. Hey, she just flipped me the bird. I'm gonna have to.
Well,
hurt
it's an
her
Angry
later.
Bird, so.
I
walked
right into that.
I almost sound like I planned that. I totally
Do we really need a sequel? I mean,
did we need the first one?
We didn't need the first one, and it's like now there's going to be an Emoji Movie too, which is really scary.
They did that already.
Oh, did they? The second one?
Oh,
I don't
they
think
did
so.
another. They're doing another one.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
No, I know they were doing another one. Considering the fact that the Emoji Movie that came out got savaged,
yeah, it did do well at the box office the first weekend though, and so did Angry Birds.
And everybody got sober.
Yeah. I really don't think we need this, but you know, the kids like it. The kids like these movies, and I'm. Oh, now I sound terrible. Jeez. Can you tell I'm getting up there to grandpa age right now?
By the way, get off his lawn.
Oh, hey. That's not fair. The other film that's opening this weekend, and I actually might be wrong, maybe this is the one that was the biggest at Sundance. It was either this one or Late Night. This film has been raved about, and I got to admit, I'm really curious to see this film.
Yeah.
Blinded by the Light, it tells the story of a teenage Muslim in 1980s
the late 80s.
1980s, late 80s UK in London, whose life is upside down in so many ways, and he finds guidance through the music of Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Springsteen loved the script so much he didn't charge them for the use of his music.
That's so cool.
And I'm like, wow, that's something. The rave reviews, it's heartfelt, it's funny, it's supposed to be, it's one of those, I hate using this expression, feel-good movies. And I really think, I haven't seen the trailer yet, but I really, from what I've read about it, I think this is going to be a lot of fun when it comes out.
Yeah.
Especially since that was back in the day when Bruce was really making really good music.
Yeah, Born in the
as
USA. As
opposed to the 90s, when I really didn't like much of his stuff other than Philadelphia. I didn't like much of his stuff later in the decade. But in the 80s, he was gold. I mean, everything he was doing was gold. So, I don't know. We'll see. I think it's going to be a big hit, too. But then again, the August time frame has proven to be fatal to a number of Sundance titles that did well. July and August, Deep Six, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, because they opened it opposite Jurassic World. Hello. And Dope, which had a trailer which nobody could make any sense out of, despite it getting rave reviews. So I hope the same thing doesn't happen to this. I mean, it doesn't deserve it. The 23rd, another Sundance favorite is getting a limited release. Brittany Runs a Marathon. I'm never quite understood why this has such a huge following at Sundance. It's literally what it says it is. But the other two films, your guess is as good as mine.
Well, Angela Has Fallen is a sequel to Olympus Has Fallen and London Has Fallen.
God, another one?
With Gerard Butler as Secret Service, Mike Banning, who is framed for an attempted assassination on the president, and he has to go on the run because people are, the people who really wanted to kill the president are trying to kill him, and the people who think that he tried to kill the president are trying to kill him, and blah, blah, blah. So,
oh, yippee doodle.
Well,
okay.
it's got Morgan Freeman in it too, so I mean that makes it a little bit better.
Morgan hasn't been making great movie choices lately, though. Have you noticed that? Overcomer. This obviously, just from the title and the fact that it's also co-published by Sony and Affirm Films, has faith-based written all over it. Am I right?
I don't really know. The IMDb says this movie will unpack a pivotal issue in the life of students and adults alike. I don't know what that means.
I've not heard of it until I saw it on this list. So it's
I don't know what that means. So there's that.
Finally, on the 30th. It's another one of those animated films we really never asked for. I don't know what it is about Hollywood suddenly needing to make animated movies about toys. I mean, really, I don't. Ugly Dolls.
Well, this isn't exactly new.
Well, no, but it's never come out in a movie form.
Well, no, I'm saying, I mean, movies being made of games and toys and things like that.
I mean, the Lego movie.
Yeah.
Which, notice, the second one bombed. Thank goodness. Maybe there won't be any more. Because the first one sucked so bad. We thought. I mean, I know everybody loved it, but we didn't like it at all. Now comes Playmobil, the movie. Okay. For those of you who don't know, Playmobil are these little toys that are geared for 2 to 3 year olds that are like big, like figures and blocks and a number of other things.
They're like Legos, but for tinier kids.
Yeah.
Voices
provided by Anya Taylor-Joy, Daniel Radcliffe, and Kenan Thompson, among others.
Yeah, also including Adam Lambert, Meghan Trainor.
Adam Lambert?
Yep.
Okay.
Adam Lambert, who's voicing a character named Emperor Maximus.
Oh, that sounds right up his alley. That might be worth seeing it just for that.
There's a whole bunch of things I can say
if
in
there's
there.
anything Adam Lambert is good at, it's being flamboyant, and he knows it. So it's like, okay.
Nothing wrong with that?
No, there isn't. It makes him, I mean, good Lord, he as a substitute for Freddie Mercury with Queen the last few years, he has been dynamically good. We loved seeing him in person years ago.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with following the fabulous side of the Force.
Thank you.
I should know. Hashtag Glam Jedi.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. This just sounds so weird.
And then the tagline, "Let's get epic." What the hell?
I don't get it.
So these are the films as it stands now. There are probably going to be some changes that will be running out and hitting your local theaters between now and the end of the summer. There will be other additions. There are a lot of films over the last week that have been premiering at Tribeca that are jockeying for position in the summer release list. There are still a few from South by Southwest that are jockeying for a summer release list. So there'll be more films added. I did notice that we don't see a couple films that we already are aware of are coming out this summer. Love Antosha, which is now scheduled for Los Angeles and New York on August 5th, I think they said. And Well Groomed, which is scheduled for August in Los Angeles at least.
Yeah.
Both of which we saw at IFFB, and we'll be talking more about them later. It is So there are several films coming. A lot of them will be smaller films that you'll probably have to look for.
Yep.
But the joy of film festival movies is that they're usually worth finding.
Oh yeah, if you have to hunt for something, usually it works out to your advantage.
There is the future.
I did
and the
say
Loneliest Planet.
I said usually. Oh, The Loneliest Planet is an interesting
Loneliest
film.
Planet is beautiful to look at, but man, I'd never want to see it again.
That is the worst date movie right after Fatal Attraction and The Accused. Seriously, not joking.
There also another film that I know is coming out this summer, and I don't know the title of it, but the new film from Hirozuki Korida will be out this summer. He, of course, won the Palme d'Or last year at Cannes for his most recent film, Shoplifters. Mm-hmm. He is always... his films are magical. I mean, there's just something about them. He has become my favorite Japanese director at this point, other than Katano. And he is just like, everything he does is really interesting to watch. We'll also probably see this summer at some point, although American audiences, you never know, because they don't seem to release them here. Xavier Dolan has 2 films that are still coming out. We still haven't seen The Life and Death of John F. Donovan, which played Cannes last year and got an award, even though it got horrible reviews. And his new film, which is playing Cannes this year, I can't remember the title of it, both of which will probably be out at some point in the summer or early fall. So, and of course, I've noticed he has trouble. His American distribution sucks. We're the worst country for him ever, considering the kind of reviews that he gets for a lot of his stuff. And I mean, hell, I'm not ashamed to say Tom at the Farm won my Best Picture that year. I loved that movie.
Yeah.
And he was dynamic as an actor as well as a director in that. But he lately has not had that kind of luck. So we'll see. Is there anything you've heard of that you're fairly sure that's coming out in the summer or that you're looking forward to?
Not that other than stuff we've gone over, no, not really. Although, like you said, I mean, Love Antosha needs to come out now.
Love Antosha is the documentary about Anton Yelchin, which we saw last Saturday, and it's an amazing film about Anton and his life and how he became who he was before he was so tragically taken from us at 27 in 2016, and it is
and everybody needs to see this movie.
Yeah,
now.
it's a fantastic film.
Yeah,
we'll review it in the Boston Springs Festival show. Well Groomed, which we also saw at the IFFB, is about the world of competitive creative dog grooming, which I didn't even know existed.
Nope.
And it is also.
Well, we didn't know that there was competitive typing out there either until we saw Populaire.
Came out,
so.
Yeah. I don't know if it still exists though.
I don't know.
It did at the time. It was real. And it was real up to the 90s. I know that.
Yeah, but we know that the competitive dog grooming is real.
These
when
people,
you hear competitive
really,
dog grooming, you might be thinking
creative
yes,
dog grooming.
Creative dog grooming. And anything you think of what that might mean, trust me, you're wrong. Until you see it, you have no idea what it is. And trust me, you will sit there the first 10 minutes of this movie with the biggest WTF look on your face. You know what that movie reminded me a lot of? The King of Kong. Yeah. It really did. It got a lot of interesting reactions from the almost sold out audience we saw it with. And it was based on a short film that came out 2 years ago that followed another competition. And it's really a great little film. Like I said, I had never heard of creative dog grooming. Nope. This is where you take your dog and you make it a canvas. You dye its fur, you cut things in it. I mean, one lady presented an entire Alice in Wonderland tableau. Yeah. From the Disney version on the dog. Another lady had a mermaid. Cat. I mean, it was like, what? And the dogs don't seem to mind at all. Nope, the dogs don't mind it. From the look of it, the dogs don't mind it. But we'll talk about it more later. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a couple of weeks on our show. Like I said, it's one of these films, the first 15 minutes or so, you are going to be sitting there going, what? Yeah. And by the end of the movie, I don't know if you're completely swayed over, but you definitely don't think to yourself, these people are completely mental anymore. Because I have to be honest, that's what I thought the first 15 minutes. But I had changed my mind by the end. As far as the summer goes, I think there's only 2 films that really have a shot at becoming as boisterous an opening, not nearly as much, obviously, as Endgame was. I think Godzilla will do well when it opens. I think we will also see a unexpectedly big surge for
The Secret Life of Pets 2 because it has a huge back end from the first one. The Lion King is also probably going to open well, but I think the biggest shock might be this weekend with Detective Pikachu. Everybody has been talking about it. We're both very much looking forward to seeing it.
Yep.
I love the character. I'm rather good at doing the character, and also his evil Nazi counterpart.
Would you please stop?
I do Pikachu singing Rammstein, and she drives her up the wall.
And you can't do it now because you'll hurt your throat.
Yeah, I'll start coughing.
Hacking,
but
so.
I do Pikachu singing Du Hast by Rammstein. It drives her nuts. She's like, will you stop that evil Nazi Pikachu
Because it's horrifying. And we are not implying that Rammstein are Nazis.
No, we're not. But it's just
we just wanted to say that because we don't want anybody to get mad at us.
Anyway, that movie, I'm surprised that it is actually predicting a $50 to $60 million opening because I didn't think it would be that high. I was thinking 35,
The
40.
thing that freaks me out about Detective Pikachu, and I know some people who have listened to this show or any of our shows long enough will be like, well, that's a big friggin' surprise coming from you, Miss I Want to Hug Everything. I do. I want to hug the stuffing out of Pikachu because he looks... The Pokemon look real.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, it is crazy.
This is why I want to see it in 3D, but we're not going to
look.
be able to because none of the theaters around here are
And
showing
Pikachu
it
is
at time.
wicked friggin' adorable. It's ridiculous. It's freaking ridiculous how cute he is. You know, and it's...
Pika.
Well, you're cute anyway.
Pika.
And I'll hug you
Pika.
later.
Pika.
All right, quit it. I'll hug you later. But other than that, I mean, like you said, I mean, I'm looking forward, so looking forward to Godzilla King of the Monsters. Yeah. Except for one possible thing, which I've talked about with you, and I won't bring up here.
I'm not going to go through this with, for some reason, she has it in her head that Mothra is a bad guy in this film, and I don't think that's the case.
Well, they're making, the trailers, which we all know, trailers always lie, they are making it seem like in the trailers anyway, that Godzilla has to fight all these other monsters and then fight Ghidorah.
Right.
I'm like...
But remember, those monsters could be controlled by Ghidorah. He's done that in other films.
No, usually it's the aliens controlling Ghidorah.
Whatever,
well,
but you know...
Don't poke the G-fans. Don't do it.
And speaking of G-fan, don't forget, every day in May... 31 Days of Godzilla, the Big G, Tokyo Town Stompdown. We will cover 31 Godzilla films in 31 days. Plus, that 31st day, when we come back from the movie, we will have a review of Godzilla King of the Monsters that night when we get home. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. We just thought we'd do it because the Endgame show went over so well. We've gotten more. I mean, we had our best month in like 6 years last month, and it's staying up there with this. And I really appreciate that, and thank you guys for that. We hope you'll enjoy the Godzilla miniseries the way you enjoyed the Endgame series, and it's going to be fun. Also this month, tomorrow actually, at the time we're recording this on May 5th, Catastrophe Vortex will return with that's my disaster movie show, version 2.0, show number 1, The Towering Inferno. And in weeks ahead, we'll be doing Deluge, The Quake, probably get around to watching Geostorm eventually, and Hurricane Ice, and all this other crap. But I intend to crank out a good 20 shows this year, so hopefully... we'll see it. Finally, it's been over a year since I've done one, and I hope that everybody will like it. CatastropheVortex.com. You have one last episode of Platinum Rose's Garden for the season.
Yes,
wrap-up show that'll be coming up later today as we're speaking.
Yes.
And it's going to be just a overview of the 14th season.
I will be looking at season 14 of Supernatural.
Are you going to give us a look at what you think is going to happen in the final season?
No, because I don't know. I am completely I'm completely going into season 15, which we all know now is going to be Supernatural's final season. And
she's handling it very well too. I have to give her credit for that.
Well, yes, I am.
And we're not into it yet, though. When we get closer and closer to the end, it's going to get interesting.
Well, I would like to think I am, on occasion, can at least fake, passing for a, mature, responsible adult. Like I said, I'm going to be looking back at season 14, my own observations and stuff, and I will be announcing something that I am going to be putting together going forward, and I hope that all of these Supernatural fans will come take a look at it and help me out with it.
Yeah, it has to do with Jared Padalecki and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So
You're welcome, Jared.
We'll get into she'll get into that on this week's show. We will return with other shows.
Yes.
In June. We have a lot going on. So Front Row 5 and 10 will be back in June. What else do we do?
I have
Ring Around the Rosie will be back this week, and then Kaiju Corner will be back shortly
which
too.
will be back soon as well, which is our Patreon.
And don't forget, in order to listen to Kaiju Corner, Film Flash, and Freeze Frame, you need to be a $5 or a month subscriber on Patreon to get those exclusive shows.
Yeah,
and they're worth it.
And I have another show that I'm planning on doing later on this year, so hopefully you guys will come listen to that as well. When it comes up, we'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, that's Supernatural connected too.
It will
Sorta,
be, yeah, it will be.
And we do have, of course, our regular mini shows, 3 Minute Weekend and Tuesday Digidex. Those are going on as planned. And, of course, our mini-series, which is happening about a half hour every day, and we hope you come check those out. Thank you for listening to Subject Cinema. Thank you for staying with us during these last few months. We're just really we can't seem to get it into a groove, and we're working on it. And now we got these new mini-series that are going on that are doing really well for our numbers, and we appreciate that. Please take the time to pass on the word about Subject Cinema if you like us. Tweet about us, put us on Facebook, let your friends know that we're out here.
Yeah.
Especially Godzilla fans right now, because we have a lot of Godzilla fans out there.
And if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, you can follow me at PlatinumRoseLady at Twitter.com.
I'm usually at eCinemaBoston or eCinemaOne. I also am on TKR Online for my music stuff, the Kirkham Report, which is also covering right now is in the midst of covering Eurovision, which is also being done on eCinemaOne and Planet BiblioMusica.
And you also have some Spotify out there that you probably want to tell people about.
I do?
Don't you?
I don't know. Do I? What are you referring to?
Well, you're the Guilty Pleasures show that you
have. Well, we have our Spotify channels from the Kirkham Report. All of them are like, I have a massive 80s playlist that's over 1,000 songs. And just go over and do that. I'd much rather do it as a regular radio station, but because I can't, Live 365 went out of business a couple of years ago, and nobody else will do it for a price I can afford. I'm doing Spotify playlists and stuff, plus all music news and stuff, and you can check that out at thekirkhamreport.com. Even though we're not doing the countdowns the way we were on YouTube, we will be doing some more of that stuff later, but just in a different format.
Yep.
And I hope you guys will follow that too. Until next time, we'll see you again next weekend, I think. It might be the weekend after, with our wrap-up for Masochistic March. We're in May now.
Yeah.
We have no excuse. We have 2 more films to do, Catwoman and Indian Superman. Although it may end up being West Indian Superman, or South Indian Superman, because we can't find the other one. And on Memorial Day weekend, Saturday and Sunday, or Sunday and Monday, 2 days, Boston Springs Festival, 10 festivals, 8 weeks, craziness up here, and we'll talk about those as well. Until next time, for Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
Have a nice summer, everyone.
Bye now.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2018 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.